Well, good morning. It is Tuesday morning, and the sun is out and bright. We are in Psalm 127 Psalm. This psalm is one that I used to reference a lot back in the day. Part of it talks about the blessing that children are to us, and happy is a man whose quiver is full. Well, depending on whether mosquitoes are crazy. Depending on whether or not you're in the Greek or the Hebrew, a full quiver is either 9 arrows or 12 arrows. And so when Kim and I first got married, I remember saying, well, good morning, Candy. We need to have at least 9 kids because, that's a full quiver. We got to 4 and she shut the factory down. She said, your quiver's full enough. Good morning, Christy. So 127 says, unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. We can do our best to build a house as a family. We can do our best to build a house as individuals. But if we're not building that house on the foundation of Jesus Christ, if we're failing in that capacity, then the house isn't anything worth building. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil. For he gives his beloved sleep. God gives his beloved sleep. If you've never dealt with anxiety, that doesn't mean anything to you. If you've never lived in a storm of turmoil in your life, then that probably doesn't mean anything to you. But for those of us who have had to deal with issues in our lives that would cause us to have more than just pause, but cause us to just be brokenhearted, he says he gives his beloved sleep. And right after that, on the heels of that, he says, behold, children are a heritage from the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. Well, for those of us who have children, sometimes that reward bites. And you just love them through it. You take the wound, you take the hurt, you take the bruise, you take the pain, and you overcome that with love. There's nothing like loving your children. There's no way to truly understand what sacrificial love is, I do not think, until you have children. When Kim and I first got married, very out of the gate married on our honeymoon, we were up in Gainesville. We wound up in the middle of a little gang warfare deal, Bloods and Crips scenario. It wasn't good. And for the first time, it dawned on me, this isn't something that I can just go handle. I've got a wife with me. And if I go down, she's at their mercy. And so I was on full defense mode, and I instantaneously knew I would give my life defending her if I had to. That wasn't even a question in my mind, but my concern was if I gave my life and there was still some of them left, then it was in vain. That was the first time I ever remember truly thinking to myself, I can't take all of these guys. I might could take 2 or 3 of them, but I can't take all of them. And God just worked it all out, praise the Lord. But when I had children, I would step in front of a bullet. I would step in front of a car. Of our 3 kids, Robin was the worst about being wide open. She'd run out in the street in a heartbeat. And so, my radar was always on for her. And when we were in New Smyrna Beach, we actually lived in a 5-way, not a 3-way. Our house was at the end of a block. Our neighborhood block was 4 miles long, a straight road 4 miles, and our house was perpendicular at the end of it. And so there was the road in front of our house. There was that road that came into our house. There was another road over here, another road over here, and another road that went over that way. And we even had a gate that went across the front of we had chain link fence all the way around the yard, but it was open, and Robin saw the hole, and like a sprinter, she made for it. And I heard a car coming. And I remember I was at the other corner of the yard. I hopped the fence, ran up the ditch, just in my mind, hoping I got there before Robin did. And right as Robin came in front of me and the car was coming this way, I was able to snatch her up, and the car slammed on brakes, but it wouldn't have been in time. They would have hit her. And I remember when I grabbed her and I turned my body to the car, and her away, I would have given my life freely for any of my kids. And so that's something that as parents we do. We don't truly understand the love that God has for us until, and I'm not saying for those of you who don't have children, I'm not trying to, this is nothing to say that you don't understand. I'm just saying you have a clearer understanding once you have children, what that can feel like. So he says, behold, children are a heritage from the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward, like arrows in the hand of a warrior. Boy, you want to stab me in the heart? I think back to all the things that I didn't do as a father, all the things that I could have instilled in my children, and I didn't. Now, I'm not saying I didn't. I had my kids in church. I was a full-time pastor. They were in church whether they wanted to be or not. I shared the gospel with my children, but I didn't do a good job daily. I didn't rally the family together daily and have devotions at home like I do now. This is something that, is only 2 years old now that I'm doing this, but I should have been doing this every evening with my family, and I didn't do that. So when you think about how those arrows in the hands of a warrior are, the children of one's youth, I feel like I did a good job of instilling in them the basics. Kim did a much better job than I did, but I could have done so much more. I feel like I failed in a lot of ways as a father. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with them. There it is, fills his quiver. It's either 9 or 12. I wound up with 4. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies in the gate. Why do you think that is, that he won't be put to shame? Well, if you got a bunch of youngins, they're going to rally. Just like you rally to your kids, even if my kids don't like me, if somebody was coming at me, I have no doubt my kids would defend me the same way I would defend them. Here's what I know for a fact. Until we find that unconditional love in Jesus Christ, we will never have what verse 2b says, for he gives to his beloved sleep. We will never have that kind of rest. We will never have that kind of freeing from anxiety, from worry, from woe, from all the things that come at us until we understand the full love of God. And not only was God willing to run out and snatch us up from the way of a car, he did one better than that. He made it permanent. He sent himself through his son, Jesus Christ, who died on your behalf and my behalf so that we may be saved from the sin in our lives, that we may be saved from an eternal punishment in hell, that we may be added to his quiver, that we may be his children, that we would be co-heirs with Christ. We would be brothers and sisters with Christ, and we would be able to sleep. And so I hope and pray that today you find good sleep in your relationship with Jesus Christ. Love you, mean it. Bye.